Good morning and welcome to Gin and Tonic. So our topic for today is a hot topic currently at the moment, and it's perimenopause.
Perimenopause.
And a few of us are affected by this at the moment, or thinking about it or heading that way, namely me. So I've asked Nadine for help, and we're going to explore the topic a bit more. And I think it's nice because I can speak from a more personal perspective, and Claudine can then speak and completely advise me.
Hopefully.
I think we all feel a little bit lost, no matter how much you know, it still makes you feel overwhelmed. I feel like a teenager. And my hormones have gone mad, but I've got adulting responsibilities on top of that. So
you can't have a tantrum.
I can't, it sucks. So tell me what's happening in my body. I think just if you could break it down and then you can take it from there.
So I always say, like, as women, we have to go through so much. It feels like too much. And yet, like, it is a privilege because we get to, so we're born with 1 to 2 million primordial follicles, which is the miracle of us being able to actually carry a baby and give birth to a baby. But it's where all the drama starts as well. So by the time you get to puberty, you've got 300,000 follicles left. And then every time you have a period, you have less and less and less follicles. And everything in the body is like a biofeedback. So as you're losing follicles, it's a biofeedback to the hypothalamus, the pituitary, there's a thing called FSH and LH, which actually, it's a kind of a loop.
So your follicular stimulating hormone and your luteinizing hormone.
Correct. So as you lose follicles, the FSH starts to go up. And as your FSH starts to go up, your estrogen and progesterone start to go down.
And that's when you start feeling like icky, essentially.
And so it's a process that starts subtly, and then it becomes like a little bit like a storm. And then eventually you ease into menopause, which is also its own storm. So that's why I say all these things that we have to go through, starting with puberty, which is a storm of its own. And I think the reason you feel so horrible in perimenopause is that, and this is how, like, the textbooks describe it, your estrogen fluctuates wildly. And estrogen is responsible for so much in a female.
But there's a silver lining, because essentially it's like you have to tell me there's a silver lining, because if you don't tell me there's a silver lining, I'm going to go nuts. So it gets worse before it gets better. So
because of how the whole thing plays out, so the estrogen goes super physiological and it drops, and it can do that in a day, and it can do that over a course of a week. And perimenopause can last anything from 1 to 3 to 10 years.
Don't say 10 years. Let's say 1 to 3.
So it's a process of your body kind of reproductivity winding down.
Okay. So your periods are going to get worse.
Yeah.
Vaginal dryness.
Yeah.
Lack of libido.
Yeah.
Moodiness, irritability. Fatigue.
Yeah.
Can you experience hot flashes, or is that purely like postmenopausal? Or
You can definitely experience hot flashes.
And night sweats.
And night sweats.
Okay. And now in terms of what we can do to make it better, because we need to know what you can do to make it better.
Yeah, absolutely.
My husband needs to know what I need to do today.
So I think we've come from an era where the whole sort of thrust was very anti what we call HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and actually even to now they're not even calling it HRT anymore, they're calling it hormone therapy, because they've realized the benefit of actually correctly supplementing women's hormones because of the benefit of estrogen, especially for organs like the brain, for, like you say, vaginal dryness, which knocks on to, if you've got vaginal dryness, you get lots of bladder infections. If you just treat that with some topical gels and things, you solve a whole lot of problems.
And you're cancerous, isn't it, as well?
And so how this all came about was the Million Women Study, Women's Health Initiative study, which they published data, and in the press there was a very strong link between HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and breast cancer. And so there's been this really bad name for the longest time. What's been proven without a shadow of a doubt is that something like Femigel, which is topical estrogen, is not linked to a high risk of breast cancer.
But the estrogen is protective in its effects on the body.
Absolutely. And in many cases, you're doing yourself such a disfavor by trying to soldier on through all these difficult symptoms, and then you have these knock-on things to mood and to libido and to bones. So estrogen is very, very important in bone density. There's a lot of things that estrogen is critical for, and particularly for women who go into perimenopause early or even to menopause early. It's very important to actually be checking for these things and actually preempting things, because the right time to diagnose and start to treat something like osteoporosis is before it happens.
Exactly.
So when you start having osteopenia, and once you're osteoporotic and you fracture your hip, it's way too late.
So that's, I'm passionate about the preventative medicine, where I rather do the bone density scan, rather have the mammograms, rather have the pap smears regularly, than try and kind of chase your tail, trying to sort it out once it's diagnosed, because that's difficult. Then the process is much longer.
Impossible.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's sad. We have ways to implement or ways to protect ourselves. And as women, we don't. Because we prioritize everybody else around us. We prioritize kids' football, soccer, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we prioritize our patients, our work, and we kind of fall into seeing to ourselves last.
Correct.
But it's not always the best thing to do.
Definitely not.
So we have to put our mask on first before you help the person next to you in the airplane.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's important.
And I think in terms of female health generally, there's been a lot that we've had to kind of suck up. You must suck up having a heavy period and heavy bleeding and pain and. No, actually, there are so many solutions.
There are.
And also sometimes women live for many years with something like endometriosis, and they're gaslit,
And it's so painful, and it's underdiagnosed, and they're not taken seriously. But I think it's across the board in terms of even autoimmunes, female patients get diagnosed later than males.
Yeah.
Whereas, unfortunately, like you said, they gaslit and then into thinking it's other things.
Yeah. So the exciting thing is times are changing.
And there's a silver lining.
There's a silver lining. With age comes wisdom.
So it also helps with the brain fog, hey?
Absolutely. So estrogen is the juicy maker. Those wildly fluctuating and the precipitous drop of estrogen causes that brain fog, and the brain doesn't function properly. So when you replace it physiologically and safely, the brain fog lifts.
Everything gets better. Because it's going to get better, right?
It's going to get better.
Okay. Thank you for joining us today. And hopefully our next topic will be just as interesting.
Yeah. Send us topics.